What is going on, guys? Craig1287 here, bringing you another VR video. This time, not so much looking at the gameplay of a typical game, doing another video with Google Earth VR, and this is for a very specific reason, and this is going to be more of a discussion kind of thing because I've been responding to a lot of comments on my own video, on two videos on Google Earth VR, but also on other videos that people have uploaded of Google Earth VR, and these are some also comments that I've posted on just general VR videos, not just specific to Google Earth VR. But I notice a common trend in a lot of videos, specifically Google Earth VR. A lot of people say, you know, what's the big deal? You know, why is this such a crazy thing? Now that's a common question posted on a lot of VR videos, and I don't want to get all, you know, snobby on you here and elitist, but VR is something, and I'm talking true VR, like, you know, true VR is gonna sound like a snob, but I'm not talking about Google Cardboard or Gear VR, or even, this might offend a lot of people, but even something like Sony's PlayStation VR, because those all lack you know, solid motion controls. PlayStation VR's got pretty good motion controls, but Gear VR and Cardboard and things like that, they don't have the motion controls. But they also lack full room scale in a solid manner, and also 360 degree room scale. PlayStation VR has the single camera, so there's a lot of occlusion if you turn, and the camera is blocked by your body or something like that, and it can't accurately track your motion controls. So there's a lot of those kind of experiences out there that I feel that you miss out if you don't have true 360 room scale. But that's mostly for things like, you know, shooters and whatnot. So then you see all these videos of Google Earth VR. Google released it for free. And it's not a typical game, you know, like a shooter, like something like Raw Data or Climby or, you know, something like that. It's just more of an experience, and I mean, a lot of people see this if they don't have VR themselves. They just see it and it's like, okay, it's a really cool version of Google Maps. I have that on my phone. I use it to figure out how to get to a place I've never been before. But they don't understand why people have these reactions that they do in these videos. And I've got a video, very, I mean, from the scale of my channel, a very successful video of my mom, who's in her early 60s, trying out Google Earth VR, and she has these crazy reactions, and I love it. It's one of the things that I do love so much about VR, is sharing it with friends and family, especially family members who didn't think that they would ever experience something like this. Now, this comment that I see, trend of comments, why is this so big deal? I can get Raw Data, you know, I get Arizona Sunshine, you know, those are really cool. You're doing these shooters in a 3D, you know, 360 degree space. And what it is, I tried thinking, you know, what is it about Google Earth VR, a free thing from Google that's just kind of like Google Maps? And I saw one specific comment, and I hope the reflection on this doesn't freak out my sensors, but I'm going to try to read this through the nose hole here. If I can find it. Aha! This is a video, the video of my mom playing Google Earth VR, and Fang Striker said, "This made me want VR even more. When someone who has already seen the world gets amazed by this, then I know it's legit." And he's saying that because in the video description I do say that my mom and my dad have both traveled to so many places in the world. My dad has in his office a map of the world with little red pins in it. I know it has at least, I would bet, at least 50 of these pins on all the different countries and states on all the different continents, except for Antarctica, that he has been to. And I started responding to his comment to further go into some detail, and this happens a lot of the times. I mean to make like a 1 or 2 sentence response, but I just get carried away with it and go far more in depth than I probably should. And I came upon 2 reasons as to why specifically Google Earth VR is such a crazy thing, even for somebody who has been to these places. Now, and I can also relate this to myself, not just my mom, who has been to 50 or so countries on this on this planet, but I myself have been to around 10, maybe 15 places with family trips and cruises as a high schooler. We went on our graduation cruise and things like that to different countries around Mexico and things like that. But my parents, they've been to far more places. But I have been, as you've probably noticed in this gameplay right now, I am floating over Italy. That's one of my most memorable places that I went to as a high schooler. My family went on a trip to Italy, and we went to all sorts of places, but Rome is probably one of the most memorable places. So I'm going to zoom in on Rome, and this right here is one of the beauties of this. And I can just go and find the Colosseum, and I can zoom in. I can hit this. The world does its little inception kind of thing. I can just drag the Earth. And here we are. We're at the Colosseum. I can even go lower. Ooh, I can go really, really low. I can do the brake feature that I recently discovered. So right now, obviously, for somebody that hasn't tried this on, visually, the geometry, the textures, it's not that great. It's nothing like raw data or Arizona Sunshine, and it doesn't look all that great in a 2D YouTube video that's 60 frames per second, very small FOV. What I see, the larger FOV, the 90 frames, with it directly on me and with it fully responding to all of my movement, especially this flying aspect. This right here, I've kind of gone off on some trailing here, but so I want to get back to what I just did. Was I was up in space and then went straight down into Italy, all of Italy, and I can go to Rome, and I can go to a lot of those fountains that I remember going to, the Parthenon. I can go to any of these kind of places, see any of these statues, and then I can just go right back up into the atmosphere and find a new location. I can go to Shanghai, I can go to Hollywood, I can go to Egypt, I can go to Antarctica, I can go to any of these places just like that. Now, obviously, I'm not really truly being there, and the visuals are not as good as truly being there, but these are still really good, especially for first generation VR of the modern era. Obviously, this is not the Vive and the Rift, are not the first time we've ever tried VR, but for modern day VR, these are like the first ever times. Oh, and I think I might have just crashed Google Earth VR, but whatever. Gonna keep talking. So these VR things, they're very first generation. So this is again a free experience, something that people couldn't even dream about a decade ago. If this kind of content would be released for free to people, and so you've got this ability to go to any of these places like that. Now, the reason why that can be so impactful, even if not more impactful, to somebody who has already been to these places. My parents, like I said, they've been to these places. I have been to Rome, Italy, to Florence, and all these other places around Italy, and I've seen them. But I saw them from the ground level, and it was not the most amazing views. You stand in these lines. Before you even get to those lines, there's thousands of dollars that go into the trip, for the drive to the airport, to the parking, storage parking of your vehicle while you are at the airport, for the cost of the flights themselves, for the room and board of the hotels that you're going to be going to pay for the tour guides, for all the meals that you're going to be eating over there. People know they can charge tourists a lot for these meals, and all this stuff comes together. The flight back, all of that, it ends up costing thousands of dollars more than this VR headset and the cost of my very powerful, relative to what most people have, computer that's running it. And yet I can go to dozens, hundreds of locations, each of which would have normally cost hundreds and thousands of dollars to do those trips. But I can go to them just like that. I don't have to stand in any lines. When I went to see the Colosseum, we stood in line for a very, very long time. Everywhere that we went, it was lines, lines, lines. When we went to the Vatican, the entire place was just one giant moving line, especially on that day that we went, because the Pope was there and he blessed the audience, the crowd, or whatever you want to call it. And that it was really cool. I'm glad I got to witness that. I'm not Catholic, but it's really cool to have been there and witnessed that kind of cultural event that happened. And all that, it required me to stand in a lot of lines for a very long time. And then when you get there, you can't stay. You can't just take in every single second that you want. You've got to move on with the rest of your group. You've got more things that you've got to see, and you've got people behind you that they've been waiting, they've paid, so now they want their chance to see. And when you do get to take those pictures, to remember those kind of moments, there's other people's heads and hats in the way and things like that, and you only get that ground picture. So when I saw these things, when my mom saw the things that she visited in when she tried Google Earth VR, she saw those, but she saw them at the ground level. Now, when flying around it, you get to see it from like a helicopter's view. And she's been on a helicopter before, I've been on a helicopter before, and it too is an amazing experience. To see something that's cool, memorable, historic is one thing. To see it from that helicopter view, it's a whole other thing. You get to see so much more of it. You get to see it with the scale of the rest of the surrounding city. That makes it so much more impactful. But it again suffers certain things. It's very expensive, time consuming to wait and get into that situation. Your time is also restricted. You can't just fly up there for the whole time. You've got other people that want to do their flights. They've got to do other parties, but also fuel. That's kind of a thing. So you're up there, and you're not even the one at control. If you pass something, if you miss something, you can say, hey, can you fly back and catch that? Well, may not be able to do that. Your view while in that helicopter is incredible, but it's still very limited. You have the hull of the helicopter that's blocking your view. And so with this VR, though, you've got complete control over the speed at which you're moving. You can completely control the angles that you're seeing. So you're seeing these things with the full unobstructed view of just everything from above, and you can lean in and get really, really close. It's just the amount of control. It's a whole nother experience. As somebody who has personally seen the Colosseum and all these other locations around the United States. I've been to New York and things like that. I've been to Hollywood, California. I've been to those places. I've seen those things, but I saw them from a very specific view. With the VR, seeing them again, it's just this whole other thing, and I didn't have to pay, so much money for the tickets and for the tour costs and all that stuff. I didn't have to pay the hundreds of dollars for a helicopter ride, and I got to do it as much as I want. Now, obviously, this is probably the kind of an ironic thing I'm talking about that, and yet my game crashed. But that's probably because I have the beta drivers, not beta drivers, but I have the beta version of Steam VR, and I am using the beta asynchronous reprojection, and so there's some conflictions there. But other than that, other than things like crashes that are not supposed to happen, as this technology gets even better and better, drivers are better and things like that, that's not something that you're going to have to deal with as often. And that's we use the term crashes for drivers. Crashes could occur in real life situations, so it's not like that's a flawless kind of situation. And weather, what things with the weather, if you go to Italy and you're in Rome for that day, you're going all around Italy. You'd be in Rome that one day. If the weather's bad that day, if there's overcast, if there's rain, storms, things like that, then you're out of luck. I mean, even if you are going to those locations, it's getting rained out, you're having a miserable time. But with VR, you can see these things on your own time as much as you want, with the angles that you want to see. It's an incredible thing. So I have no clue how long this video has been, but I hope that kind of provides my two primary. I don't even know if that you could really lump those into two different categories. I'll link the video. You guys can see my actual comment reply to his post, and you can probably see just a much TLDR basically answer to what I'm saying now. But it's the fact that even to somebody who has seen all this stuff, who's been across the world many, many times and seen these things in person, in the real world, how seeing it in this low relative to real life, low resolution, the quality's not that great, the resolution, there's a lot of limitations. But even then, to see that stuff, because it is in the setting that it is for VR, in this very early state, it's just a whole different experience. You're seeing things with so much more control, and there's none of the overhead, I guess you could call it, of like I was talking about with the expense costs and things like that. Immunizations, when you go to other countries, you have to deal with immunizations depending on what country you go to. I remember when going to Italy, even though it is a first world country in every way you can think of, we still, were encouraged to drink bottled water. And when we went to Spain and Portugal, we were encouraged to drink bottled water, not to have ice with our drinks, because the ice is not from bottled water, but the ice is formed from the tap water. Even it's not that their tap water is bad. By no means is it bad. I mean, it's no worse than Flint, Michigan, or even anywhere close to something like that here in the United States, a very first world country. Their water is fine, but it's different. The things that they put in the water are different. The things that are there in the water, and because it's just different, it can just make you get sick. You're not getting back. You're getting bad things. It's just different things that your body's not used to, and that can just throw you off a little bit. Same as something like motion sickness. It's not something that you're used to. And your body just gets thrown off a bit. And so when in the showers, you're encouraged to chew gum just to make sure that you keep your mouth closed, so that the water from the shower head doesn't get into your mouth. Things like that. You've got to worry about that. But by doing it in VR, you can go anywhere at any time for as long, see it from whatever angles. You don't have to worry about crashing in a plane or in a car, or getting hit on the street while backing up to take a picture. You don't have to worry about any of that. And in terms of like memories, I don't know if this is going to be a thing in the future. When I go to these places and you see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, I remember you do that cheesy, corny little thing with the tourists where you act like you're standing there and you're holding it up in the camera perspective. But in the future, are people going to, like right now, I'm recording Google Earth. I'm mostly recording the experiences of it as a VR thing, and this technology with this hardware and software and whatnot, and that's mostly what it's about. But one day, are people going to be in VR, go to a museum in VR and take an in-game selfie or upload their gameplay for their friends to see, hey, look what I did in this game? I mean, we kind of already do that with gameplay videos and whatnot on YouTube, and granted, you're mostly there for the person's personality or something like that, but still, we kind of already do that. So it's this weird, crazy thing to think about, that we might take family trips in VR, or I don't know. I have no clue what the future will be like a year from now, 10 years, 3 decades from now, or even a day from now. I don't know what things are going to be like, but just the thought of that we are already so close to that, and how close VR is to simulating reality, that it can just come so close to tricking your brain. Again, people ask, what's so special about VR? It doesn't look that great. The graphics in one of the best looking VR games, Raw Data and Arizona Sunshine, they pale in comparison to even something like Crysis that came out in 2007. They pale in comparison to Crysis 3 and to Battlefield 1, and things like that, to Skyrim, which looks so much better on a 2D screen. But because of what is offered here, even me, who has put hundreds of hours into VR so far, and I know this room, I know that there's a couch there, there's a recliner there, that there's a TV there, that I've got a fan, which actually I can't really even hit, even if I hop quite a bit, but I know that fan's there. You put me in this environment, and my brain gets convinced. And right now, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm in my environment for my Steam VR is Rick and Morty's garage, and Mr. Poopy Butthole up there. And there's a table right here. Now, if this was a shooter, and I was using that for cover, if it was something like Overkill VR, a first-person shooter for VR right now that uses a lot of cover, there are points where I forget that the thing I'm using as cover on, like, towards my shoulder or something isn't actually there. I only see it in my VR that it's there. But after a bit, I completely and utterly forget, and I'll go to actually physically lean on it in the room that I am in, just because I'm getting, a little exhausted and I'm getting a little tired, and I do physically want to, just rest on something, give myself a little break while I wait for an airstrike to go through, and I'll get that little, I'll make another Inception reference. You get that, I forgot what they call it in it, but a drop or whatever to wake somebody up. And you get that like ooh kind of feeling, like you're about to lean, and then your body realizes that there isn't actually something there stopping it, and you just get that shock, that jump. And I get that in multiple games that aren't even that physically crazy. Something like Climby, when you do the jumping physics, that game is super unrealistic looking. It really looks like an alpha test version of a game from late 90s, early 2000s, where everything was very blocky and grid-like. And even then, my body gets convinced by the physics of it, by the jumping, the momentum, and everything. So it's crazy that's this is my only explanation as to why these games in VR that still don't look all that great. Google Earth VR, it doesn't look that great. The polygons are low. The geometry is very rudimentary. There's not a lot of sides to things. They're very jagged looking, and the textures are crazy, and a lot of things are really out of proportion. Like trees are incredibly large compared to every other kind of object around them, and yet you still feel like you're Superman flying through these cities when you're doing the Google Earth flight aspect. Even though that game doesn't even map, it just maps the Vive controllers. It doesn't actually map your arms, your torso, your legs. It doesn't map that kind of stuff, but still you hold your arms out and you feel like you're Superman, and you have that sense that you're actually flying through the city, that you're this being with these kind of powers. And that's a little bit of a stretch. You don't truly 100% believe that, but it can still trick you up here and there. If you fly past something, a tree comes up to you, you actually get that feeling of like, holy crap, I almost hit that tree. Your body reacts because it's just an instinctual reaction. It's not it's not a conscious thing that you're actively thinking about and doing because you thought about doing it. It's just something that happens so suddenly, and your mind is just ever so tricked by the decent enough visuals that your body is actually reacting out of fear of hitting this tree that isn't truly there, but your body thinks it is. So, guys, this video, I'm looking at my hand. I legitimately just tried to look at my watch, and I'm not even holding the VR controllers. Some games actually have an in-game watch that you can see the time, but I'm just in my Rick and Morty environment in Steam VR, not even a game, and I just looked at my watch to see how long this video has taken. So that truly was not planned, and again, you forget that I'm in VR, and I feel like I'm actually in a garage, and I tried to look at my watch, not knowing that I've got this thing blocking my vision from seeing anything that is in the real world right now. So, yeah, I hope this wasn't too long. I hope that this wasn't too convoluted and crazy. It's late. I've had a busy day doing interviews and stuff for one of my jobs and whatnot. So, but I made this comment on the YouTube video. I'm really glad he phrased it in a way that he did. That he actually pointed out that the fact that I saw this lady who her son said has actually physically traveled to all these crazy places, reacted the way that she did. That impacted me more than seeing somebody who's never been to these places. They can't relate to that. They can't see what they see in VR and relate it to what it actually did look like in real life. And that really impacted me enough to make this stupidly much longer than it should have been video. So hope you guys did enjoy this. As somebody who may not have VR, more than likely does not have VR, I hope this kind of gives you some insight to our reactions. I know a lot, I'm going to make this video even longer, I know a lot of the reactions from YouTubers out there these days, go after the PewDiePie method, and it's, you know, really large, animated, exaggerated reactions, especially for horror games. You know, horror games really can provide those kind of reactions, and it makes it seem natural. But even then, the people exaggerate them because that's what they like to see. But when you see these things for VR, and you see the Bomb U video that I uploaded of me just laughing hysterically, just uncontrollably. My laughter is not normally like that, but it's completely normal. And you hear Nylon, the guy that I was playing against, in that video, and you hear his laughter, and it's so extreme and exaggerated compared to, it's not actually exaggerated, but compared to what it normally is. It's just so much more so that those reactions are legit. When you see people freak out, they're so legit because it is truly convincing when you get the VR headset on. And even so for Sony's PlayStation VR. Again, you know, I knocked that a little earlier, but even then, if you can get your hands on something like that, it's still going to give you a very similar experience to this. Not so close, but still really, really close. And yeah, and I want to help people who have VR to find the experiences that they can get in VR, but I also want these VR videos that I make to help people who do not have VR or access to VR. You may not own it, but you might have a friend or, you know, something like that. I hope that these videos can help you see what the future of the video game industry and entertainment industry and travel industry and, you know, virtual shopping and socializing over Facebook through VR and all this kind of stuff is going to be the future. I hope, you know, I really hope that VR doesn't have a crash like it's done, you know, back when Nintendo tried it with the Virtual Boy, and in the many times we've tried before that. So I hope that this has been an entertaining, educational, eye-opening, thought-pondering kind of video for everybody that's watched it, especially if you've made it to this point. Because, man, can I ramble on and go on for a while. So, yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please do comment below and offer up some of your thoughts if you are a VR user or if you're not a VR user. Because these are just my two reasons why I think Google Earth was such this phenomenon that it was. I don't claim that these are the reasons. These are just my two kind of thoughts after reading one person's specific YouTube comment. So why do you guys think that VR has been such a crazy thing? If you don't have VR, does this kind of help you? Or should I continue thinking of other reasons? It's not something easy to, you know, to just point at and just be like, that's why. This is why it is. It is just something you have to experience, and it's like all games, like all entertainment, like everything in this world. It's not going to appeal to everybody. There's going to be VR fanatics that love raw data, that love Climby, that love Bomb U, that love all these kind of VR things, Brookhaven Experiment, and they love all of them. Vanishing Realms, they love every single thing that they've tried. But then they try Google Earth VR, and it's just, I just don't get it. I don't like it. I'm not getting motion sick from it. I just don't like it. I don't get it. So it's, you know, I don't expect you to fully understand that, and I don't fully expect you to agree with me in any way. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and please comment on anything that I've said so far. I do really want to read some comments on this because I am still interested to see other people's reasons why they think Google Earth VR was the crazy, you know, event when it released. Why it was so big on YouTube and social media and things of that sort. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this very long video. I think I'm actually finally going to end this video now. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this whole video. Have a good one. Ta-ta.